I mean, dissatisfaction's maybe a strong word. What we're hoping to do is invite a discussion from Tynwald. So the issue has been we received an email from MADFA, which is the Manx Amateur Drama Federation, asking us to remove the scenic flats, or who they belong to, so that the removal could happen from the theatre.
And the flats, just for anyone that doesn't understand, is like painted scenery, like backdrops?
So the flats, they are 12 foot high, made of sort of baton and a thin plywood covering, and they're various sizes, or doors, or window, depending on how you put them together for whatever purpose the play requires.
So it's been decided that these can no longer be based at the Gaiety Theatre for, I understand, health and safety reasons?
That's right, yes. So the reason behind that is health and safety, of which no one is in disagreement. They historically were stored at the back of the stage on the floor level, and some years ago were moved up to an area above the back doors. So when these flats have to be brought down and put back up, there are doors opened, of which people could fall out quite easily onto the floor. And of course, because of the length of them, we have to back out onto the road to bring them down. So no one's in disagreement on the health and safety side of things. But we do believe that there is still space for them to be stored at the Gaiety, of which we've been told there is no space.
So this is no criticism of the people who are there, though?
No, absolutely not. This is a position that we feel, whilst Gaiety management are taking their stance on this, that they can't be there, we feel actually they're between a rock and a hard place. The more that this conversation has gone on, and I've spoken to other various local groups and societies, it's becoming apparent that there is pressure on local groups and amateurs, particularly regarding us with the scenic flats. Another conversation that's been brought to my attention is the pantomime slots, which I believe, or I'm led to believe, has been given to a UK company for the next 3 years, which of course has put out a huge amount of local groups, because that's a great area of income for them, which allows them to continue as societies and push forward local things. And of course, and the other one was Claire Barber, who had raised questions in the Keys only a couple of weeks ago with regards to the booking procedure of the Gaiety and Villa Marina complex, asking for a written response from the Minister.
You mentioned income there for the local groups, and while they may fear being marginalised by the ones that are brought in from the UK, maybe from the government's point of view, is it not the case that the government wants to make as much money as possible, and these companies that are brought over tend to be, no disrespect to the local groups, but a larger draw?
Well, absolutely, that's correct. But what you have to look at is why the Gaiety was bought in the first place. Now, one of the issues that we're facing at the moment is actually the Gaiety Villa complex is branded as the same thing. And of course, these are actually two very different buildings. The Gaiety is a working Victorian theatre. Now, when the Gaiety stepped in, and of course, if you look at the notes from the Hansard and various conversations that occurred at the time, it's really very clear that this was bought to be able to help local amateur groups, and for them to be able to perform on that stage for a number of reasons, both culturally and educationally. And of course, this is one of the things that the Isle of Man really prides itself on, in terms of sport, in terms of dramatics, is that we can field people, we really punch above our weight in terms of that, and you only have to look at some of the professionals from the Isle of Man that have gone from the Gaiety stage out there to appreciate, and actually the monetary profit, and looking at it from that kind of side, actually, it's not as finite as a case of, in the great one from Prime Minister, where of course they talk about hospital, which has the best record there because there's been no accidents, and of course their energy bills are down, but of course they have no patients. the Gaiety won't cost anything if we shut the doors and switch the lights off.
Of course, of course. Although over the last few years, I think government, given certain pressures on the finances, have wanted to make things more commercially viable, and there have been more commercial pressures on government. So maybe, when things are brought in with the best of intentions previously, priorities do have to change and have had to change.
Well, yes, perhaps, but I'd very much advocate against that, because I believe that the arts really is something that benefits society so massively. It helps so many people, and it really is something that government should be standing behind and not cutting back on.
How would you like to see things progress then?
So what we are looking for is for Tynwald to give direction to the departments and to Villa Gaiety management, and we want to see that the flats are kept within the Gaiety complex. We would like to see, more than anything, an open discussion and debate in Tynwald about use of the theatre, and who it belongs to, and for what purpose. We strongly believe that it should be available. The pantomime stops should be available. The booking should be available, and that all people should be able to use that theatre. That, of course, is owned by all people.